am I excited to bring you this. Hey, Spuddies, Potato McWhiskey here, and welcome to what may actually be the most hype stream that we will have in a while, because we get to check out exclusive Age of Wonders 4 content. Specifically, the faction creator. Give me a moment here, I'm still setting up my stream. We gotta do a little shenagling. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you all, thank you. It's not made for kids. Put all the little... Sorry, I'm just, I've set up a thing. It's like, oh, is this game for kids? And I'm like, no, this game's not. Let me just get this up and running. Yes. Unfortunately, I cannot show you actual gameplay. I can talk a little bit about how they play, because this will obviously be the reveal of the fact that I have been pottering around with the game and, you know, testing things out. So I can reveal that much. But mostly we are here because I want to talk about the character creator. This stream is sponsored. Oh, I should probably put ad. Hashtag ad. Yeah, let me fix that. Hashtag ad. Boom. Spore. The last game that hyped you up with a character creator was Spore. Jesus, you're about as long in the tooth as I am. And let me tell you, that's a long tooth. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show off a really, really cool faction that I like to build. I call it the Blaven, aka the Blight Skaven, aka Rip-Off Skaven, aka I have no imagination. Just autofill whichever one of those you think is most appropriate. That's totally acceptable. Thank you for the sub, I appreciate it. So, yeah. It's an exciting moment here for us because... hold on. Right. So this is super cool. Now, I'm probably not like the ideal person to stream this game, but can we take a moment to appreciate how cool the title screen is? So we can't actually play the game. That is something. I cannot click this continue button, this load game button, this online. The only button I'm allowed to press, I'm pretty sure, is the new game. I'm allowed to show you how you make planets also. Really nice menu transitions. And how to make factions. So let's actually make a custom realm here. So we have a lot of really, you know, you have a whole bunch of options. I'll go into the advanced options. Here's the basic options. You customize your realm. You can like pick your climate, your inhabitants, you can customize a whole bunch of stuff. You can set player distance, and then you can go into like advanced settings, and you have like, you can hand pick your factions, and you can do your game flow and your combat and all this sort of stuff. Let's stick to the basic one for now. Just keep it fairly standard. Keep it fairly basic. Hello, you're still playing Age of Wonders 3. I went back and I played Age of Wonders 3 just to kind of like compare a little bit. And I think Age of Wonders 3 players will enjoy a lot of the quality of life improvements that have been made to the game flow. I think the game flows in a very pleasant way here compared to Age of Wonders 3, which I think is an overall positive for this series. That's not like a review. That's just like a little, that's like a off-the-cuff first impression. It's kind of like, I like the it feels like it's basically, it's an Age of Wonders game, but it has like a little bit more, cool stuff going on here. So we can customize our realm. Now, I believe that this isn't like completely fully finished. There's a few things that they need to add to it. Now, we can choose a variety of geographies and stuff like that. We can have barren oceans, right? Barren oceans means that you have contested land masses separated by uninhabited deserts. So I've actually played on this map, and it's quite interesting because instead of having oceans where you need to like embark units and cross the ocean, you have these deserts that are actually affected by sandstorms. If I come down here, we can look at the sandstorm. At the end of the attacker's turn, all units are affected by sandstorm, which does this. It prevents them from regenerating, it gives them lowered vision, and it gives them universal camouflage, meaning it's harder to detect enemy units. I believe if you have sense, there is a way to sense camouflaged units, or maybe you have to stand next to them. I don't remember. But you also have a chance to suffer blind. So it's actually very hard to get into combat in the sandstorms. Kind of cool. You can combine barren oceans with a desert realm, and you can get a very dune-like planet. And then if you even want to push that even further, you can go for crystalline abundance, right? And this was like literally the first world that I made when I was playing with the world creator. I made like a Dune-esque world. It was barren oceans, desert realm with crystalline abundance. In my mind, spice is mana, right? Mana is spice. Same idea. Super cool, super interesting, super fun to play on that map. Had a great time on that game. But that's not everything. I can add more. I could have been like, maybe this, Dune had a wondrous past, or maybe the death is rampant here, or there's magic origins, or there's not many people living here, so free cities are quite rare. A lot of really cool things, or maybe dragons live on Dune, right? And then that's literally 3 of this whole, like each of these options has like a list, dude, like a list. And that was like the very first one I made, and it was super cool. Another one I made, I think it was Coast, Endless Fields. And this makes it so that there's a lot of food, so you can grow really big cities. And I did like a giga farming feudal game where I can't remember what it was that I put. It was somewhere here. Mega cities. I made mega cities. This allows your cities to perform province annexation much further away. So I did like a mega city game, and that was kind of cool. Really big fan of making hero parties in the other series, hitting all the loot items around the map and then raffle stomping everything. I think you're better off in this game to spread your heroes out, at least in a little bit of gameplay that I've played. I'm not entirely sure how much you can customize the world, because you need to change your whole custom race to better suit it. You don't have to make your custom race to better suit it. You can just pick from like the pre-built worlds, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I can, I assume I can show you the Pantheon, but there's a Pantheon thing here that you can like unlock as you play the game. You'll get like harder and more interesting worlds. Like, right, you start off here, like there's the beginner scenario and the story realm and the tier 1 realm and the Fabulous Fields, and then it goes on, and then I unlocked the Silenced realm, I'm pretty sure, and I unlocked the Frozen realm, I think. I definitely unlocked the Cold Expanse, and this one is really hard because it starts off with the Frost Queen, and she has like 2 extra cities. She has a large throne city. She has the special frosting transformation, which makes her completely immune to the Arctic blizzards that plague the planet. So she's really annoying to deal with. But if you get late enough into the game, you can also get the frosting transformation. So there's kind of a cool, like, interesting thing you can do. I'm on gameplay action right now. Unfortunately today I can't show you gameplay, but I can show you all the basic setting up of a game. I think it's either this month or next month we might have a gameplay stream. I actually don't know off the top of my head. So, but stay tuned, because I assume it will happen. So, custom realm. Yeah, there's actually so much you can do here. Like let's spend another couple of minutes on this. If we go to land, you can have a land entirely, no water, just single. Whole map is filled with land. You can make it so that the underground, there is an underworld, which people who played like Master Magic might think of this as kind of like Mirror, but not exactly like Mirror. Others have said April will have gameplays. I think it's April then. Yeah, awesome. You can have underground start, so everyone starts underground, and then the surface world is like unexploited. You can add more modifiers like, ooh, the free cities, they aren't very friendly. You can get warping wilds. Oh, I love this one. So one of my favorite combos is, I think it's, hold on, it's one of these. Here it is. If you do, it's land plus forming realm, which makes desolate provinces really dominant. What that does, isn't the game coming after 2 months? I think it's March, April, May. Yeah, I think it's in May the 2nd. I believe May the 2nd this game is coming out. Yeah, the forming realm. This one's really cool because every time you end a turn, there's a small chance for all of the unowned desolate provinces to get warped into a random other type of terrain. So it could become a desert, it could become a forest, it could become a grassland, it could become snow, it could, whatever. It could just randomly warp and morph. So there's kind of like it creates a really interesting world that's like all chaotic. And then you can stack on top of this, you can stack warping wilds. If you do warping wilds with forming world, that means the whole world is just like constantly warping and changing. But once you claim a piece of land, it stays that way, which is super, super cool. How long until the Warhammer mod? Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute, because I think you can already make a lot of really cool Warhammer-esque factions in this game. And then you have inhabitants, right? You've got things like, you can have astral invaders. These are kind of magic-eating creatures that I can't remember what they're resistant to, but they're generally resistant to magic, and they're very hard to kill. And they do decent damage, but it's more like they're hard to kill, and they do kind of interesting abilities. Then you've got demons. You got to deal with a lot of fiends. You've got dragons. Dragon infestations are really common. Immortal spirits, which means ethereal units. Here we go. If I hover over ethereal, you can see all their abilities. So like ethereal units are really good against spirit damage. So this is going to be like your theocrat, your holyman, your zealots, all these kind of guided by the light kind of characters. And they're immune to a whole bunch of effects. And they can also pass through materials. And then you've got like, let me see, megafauna. Megafauna is super fun. If you do megafauna plus... not Domain of Mayhem. Yes, no, if you do megafauna plus gigantism, the neutral animals are like so difficult to kill because they get empowered beasts, right? They get 20% more damage, 10 hit points, and the ability to demolish fortified obstacles, okay? So, bunch of big, scary animals running around. And then you add gigantism, they get another 10 hit points and an extra retaliation attack. These two combined make trying to clear the map like genuinely terrifying. It's super, super fun though. It's a very fun challenge run. Ruined Realm means that there's just less free cities and there's more like city ruins. Domain of Mayhem, this is one of the few that I haven't actually played with, but basically what this means is that every 3 turns, all units on the map just have a 30% chance to go berserk. And when a unit goes berserk, it attacks the closest enemy in range, and if there's no enemy in range, it attacks its allies. This gets very funny and very scary. Will you show us the actual gameplay? Unfortunately today I can't show you the actual gameplay, but I can show you a lot of the character creator stuff. We will have a gameplay stream sometime in April. I'll give you an update on that. Thank you for the sub, by the way. Sounds like you need to drink something, not just tea. Unfortunately, I've been having issues with my throat for the last year or two, and no matter how much water I drink, it doesn't go away. I'm going in for a sleep study this weekend. That might elucidate things. I'm also have to go back to an ENT. I went to an ENT, and he said there's nothing wrong. There's very clearly something wrong. He was wrong. Especially considering it's my fucking job to talk. Sorry, I'm a little bit annoyed by that guy. I want a second opinion. I've been having issues, and he basically brushed me off, and that really kind of annoyed me because I got the impression that he thought I was just like having anxiety because I said psychologically it's really bothering me that I have it. Listen, let's not get into it, right? We're here to talk about Age of Wonders. Regenerating infestations is super fun. So, hey Winsley, how's it going, man? Regenerating infestations, you can stack this on top of Gigantism, Megafauna, and this now you have giga huge beasts appearing all over the map. You've giga huge beasts appearing all over the map, and it's really scary. It's really dangerous. It's terrifying, in fact. Really, really fun way to play. But let's actually jump into the faction creators. So I'm going to click next. There's a whole bunch of pre-built factions. So you've got like Alfred Elderstone of the Destined Humans. They start off with a Tome of Faith, which allows you to heal and support your units through the power of the faithful. So the tomes are essentially like your research, basically, is how that works. They are your research abilities. You will unlock new units. You will unlock new spells. I really like how the new unit enchantment works. That's really, really cool. Instead of having to buff each unit individually, you research a unit enchantment, you cast a unit enchantment, and then it affects all units of a particular category. I think that's really, really cool. So you can do fun things with Tome of Faith. Tome of Faith is mostly focused around like healing your units, supporting them, buffing them up. And this is the Destined Humans, right? So they're the race here. These humans, they have fast recuperation, which means after a battle, they heal 15 hit points, which is obviously only really useful if you win, but this is really fantastic for keeping your momentum up on the early game. Really, really early game focused. Super good. 30% EXP is adaptable. This is quite handy. It kind of just makes your units level up faster. I would consider this kind of weak, to be honest with you. I think there's better picks, but this is fine, right? And then their culture is feudal. The feudal culture gets extra buildings that have a little bit of extra food income, which is kind of fun. Their units have a really powerful ability called Stand Together, which means they do 20% more damage if two units which stand together are standing adjacent to each other. So these guys do a lot of damage. They also have the Feudal Lord's ability, which basically, how do I summarize this? With the Feudal Lord ability, each of your heroes, well, up to 5 of your heroes can take an ability that's like Lord of War, Lord of the Crop, Lord of the Hammer. And this will actually buff up a particular city that you assign them to. They don't have to stay in the city. They are just the Lord of that city. Really, really cool, really powerful. Lord of War is super powerful. In fact, I think Lord of War is like super meta. If you take it early, you can just like stomp around the map and do crazy stuff. They are also chosen uniters. So they gain a 30% income boost from vassals. Now, you might think like, well, 30% doesn't sound like much. No. That's a 30% base. So normally a vassal might give you like somewhere between 20 to 50% of their resources. This guy gets 50 to 80% of their resources. Really, really quite a powerful ability. You also get plus 10 good alignment and a Whispering Stone, which is the resource that you give to the neutral cities in order to make friends with them. So very much so geared about diplomacy, making friends with the neutral cities, using the Rally of Kings to rally their troops and recruit massive armies. You start out with an extra shield unit or polearm unit, I think, depending on the particular culture that you are. And then they also have the Great Builders ability. So quarries give you plus 2 gold. Quarries normally give you +5 production, so getting +2 gold on top of that is quite handy. Gold is one of the most important resources in the game. It's the resource that you use to build up your cities. It's also the resource that you use to recruit your armies and pay your upkeep for your armies, as well as certain events will use up your gold. So having extra gold, really, really handy. Special province improvements cost -50% production. Most of the research books in the game come with some sort of special improvement, which is relatively expensive. So a 50% discount on that is really nice, because those improvements tend to be really damn good. The starting equipment for the leader, Alfred Elderstone, is a lance, which is a charge attack weapon that gets a 20% damage boost for every hex that it has traveled, up to 3 hex, so up to a 60% damage boost. That cancels defense mode and removes retaliation attacks, except against spearmen, because they have special interactions with charges. Spearmen are good at defending against charges, whereas, spearmen are good against defending against charges. There's kind of a little bit of a soft rock paper scissors thing going on in this game, but it's not rock paper scissors. There's like unit counters, right? So charge attacks are good against shield units and ranged units. Shield units are good against spears. Spears are good against cavalry and charge units. Archers are good against archers are just damage dealers, really, with weaknesses to melee. Similarly, mages tend to have special abilities that do specific things on the map. They're also just damage dealers. There's flying units. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff. Come on, brother, play. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to play the game. I am allowed to show you the character creator, though. And this is just one of the many races. Now, they have affinities, right? They have 4 order affinity. Order is kind of very much so focused around being the good guy, doing diplomacy, increasing your relations with neutral cities. I'm trying to think, what else do you get from order? I don't remember, but there's a lot of order stuff. Nature, very much so around expanding your cities and naturalistic things. Materialism is about making bigger cities. I can't remember. Either way you flip this, I think it might be nature might be bigger cities and materium might be more cities. I don't remember, but they tend to kind of buff in that direction. But they also have other buffs that they provide. Whereas this one is very much so about like acquiring vassals and making friends with people. Whereas if we go to someone who is a little bit more chaotic, these guys are all about burning down cities, right? And then taking the loot home. These guys this is actually my favorite book, The Tome of the Horde, because it lets you swarm people with tier 1 units, which is infinitely hilarious to me and so much fun. But these guys are the Bloodfang Orcs. Let's not delete. Let's make some characters. By the way, you can tell how much I've played this game because I have so many custom factions. I made Paul Atreides. This is the Fremen. They're feline. I don't know why I chose feline. I was screwing around, but this was the faction I made to play on the Dune map, and it was kind of fun. This is Queek Headtaker. I tried to make like a Skaven-y faction, but we'll let's actually create a faction.
What is your people
bonus content. Guess what? If you stick around to the end, you get to see a very cool thing about the Rat Men. So, Ratkin, we're going to make a Skaven-esque race. So the Ratkin default traits are quick reflexes, right? They make you 30% harder to hit by ranged attacks, as well as overwhelm tactics, which gives you a 20% critical hit chance when standing next to friendly units that also have overwhelm tactics. So these guys are really, really good at swarming and standing together and doing all that sort of stuff. But you can totally just change this. You could be like, nah, I want to be tough and I want to be sneaky. So my guys, they have more defense, and every point of defense lowers the amount of damage you would have taken by 10%. So if you're on 0 defense and you go to 1 defense, you are now taking 90% damage. If you're on 1 defense and you go to 2 defense, you're now taking 81% damage, because 9 multiplied by 0.1 or 90% multiplied by 10% is 9%. So you take 9% from 90, you get 81%, right? So this is a slowly scaling down thingy. So like once you get to like 10 armor, you're taking like less than half damage or something like that. So armor gets your units can get surprisingly tanky. So plus don't sleep on tough. Don't sleep on tough. There's a lot of really cool abilities in here, like Bulwark, which when your unit uses defense mode, it gains +2 defense and +2 resistance, becomes really hard to kill. Hearty just straight up gives you +10 health. Keen-sighted makes your ranged and magical attacks have a better chance to hit. Resilient is status resistant. This is actually quite handy depending on the units you're going up against. Some status resistance can be like really annoying to deal with. Resistant is just like tough for magical damage. Resolute lowers how long negative effects happen. Strong is like a very generic one. It's just like 10% more physical damage. I haven't really played around with the mount ones. It's something I want to play around with. Maybe it could be interesting. But basically, each one of these gives you a +10% health increase for any mounted units, as well as a bonus ability. So, for example, the Nightmare mounts, they gain Intimidating Aura, right? So, adjacent enemy units have a 90% chance of losing 5 morale. Lower your morale, the less likely you are to hit effectively. The higher your morale, the more likely you are to crit. Spider gets the web ability. This could be like, I really like the idea of like wood elves riding spiders. Like you could do something like elfkin, who are, spider mounts with, let's see, some kind of ranged supporting ability. Well, I mean, if you're webbing them, you can sneak around. Yeah, like let's say they're sneaky, so they do 25% more damage when they're flanking, and then you can go in here, and then you can look, they've got like, you kind of can't see it because it's behind here, but you can see our scouts and our lancers are on spiders, which will allow us to like control the enemy really effectively, and you can have spider riding elves. Let's say we had spider riding feudal elves with, fabled hunters, so that they get +1 ranged unit, and let's say they're also devious watchers, right? So they get an extra scout. This is kind of a cool combo where you're really focused around ranged units and scouts, and doing all sorts of fun stuff like that. Although maybe I wouldn't go fabled hunters. Maybe I would go like devious watchers plus something else. But yeah, there's lots of really cool stuff you can do. Anyway, let's go back to the Ratmen. Create a new race. Ratkin. Now the one I liked was, where was it? Was it Hearty? Can I play it now if I buy it? Unfortunately not. 2nd of May is when you can play it, and I'll be telling you, I'll be playing a lot of this game because I've been having a lot of fun playing it. +2 defense. Let's just make it like a hyper giga damage faction, right? So 10% damage bonus, 20% critical chance when standing next to each other, and we take the Barbarian ability. Now, we could go Feudal here so that we get stand together, but I like Barbarian on the Ratman. Barbarian is an interesting faction. So melee units for Barbarians get Primal Strike, which means the very first attack they do in a battle deals +8 blight damage. Really, really powerful. Their Skirmisher, which is their tier 1 range unit, has a ranged attack that it can use as it approaches, but it also has melee attack, so it can still take advantage of this, which gives them a lot of flexibility. They're very good at growing their cities and recruiting new units. They also have the Ritual of Alacrity, so people will restore their health faster inside borders. Let's take Barbarian.
What defines their society?
And the other abilities that I like to go with are something like maybe Prolific Swarmers. So Prolific Swarmers is super fun with the Tome of the Horde and stuff like that. So our cities are going to grow faster. But the important thing here is that our tier 1 units have +1 rank. And our non-magic origin, i.e. units that are not summoned, have a 20% unit upkeep reduction. And we start with an extra tier 1 unit. So Prolific Swarmers, really, really good. Now, the other pick you can take, it's honestly really just up to you. Like Ruthless Raiders, you get resources as you kill things. Ritual Cannibalist gives your units the ability to eat corpses, which gives them an extra sustain because it is a free action. You can see those 3 blue circles because there's no white inside the circles. This is actually a free action, which allows you to just occasionally, if you get a kill, you could just heal for 15 health, which is really, really powerful. It'll also get you magic and food whenever you kill units. Really, really good chaos direction. You could also go something more like... let me have a look here. Fabled Hunters could be quite good. You gain extra resources when you clear infestation. Your range units have +1 rank, which means your skirmishers will have +2 ranks, right? Because prolific swarmers plus fabled hunters will be +2 ranks. You'll start with an extra range unit, so there's like a lot of, interesting potential here. Do you tend to min-max the culture tome traits, or do you tend to balance things out? I tend to just build like an interestingly themed race and faction. I don't tend to like try to balance this faction balance. That's not particularly important because of the way it works. But then, right, so you've picked your race, you've picked your culture, you've picked your society. Now you get to pick your magical book, and like each of these books represents a research. You can theoretically research all of these books in a game. However, that's really not going to happen. It's impractical to do so. But I find like with this Ratman faction that I've created, the Tome of the Horde like works perfectly, because you get this spell right here, Spawnkin, which gives you a 20% damage increase, increases the number of units in your formation. Has anything been based yet? Everything is based here. So that like all of the units in your race, like their models get smaller, and then there's more of them in the game. So it's like super fun. Is there a tome cap? Not that I'm aware of. Technically, you could research them all if you really wanted to. It's just it's from a gameplay perspective, it's impractical. You also get the Houndmaster, which is a interesting range unit. Unfortunately, he is tier 2, but he does summon a tier 1 Warhound at the start of the battle. So technically, you buy this Houndmaster and you get 2 units. So he's pretty damn good. He's kind of an expensive unit, but these Warhounds are really, really good because they're free. Because I'm pretty sure they summon that Warhound at the start of the battle at no cost. I could be wrong though. Maybe they actually have an ability. I haven't used them in a while. I just remember when I spawned in a battle, I had Warhounds. Then you got Fury of the Horde, right? All of your tier 1 units, which we're focused on in this build, get strengthened, which gives them a 10% damage increase. So we could see we're starting to stack a whole bunch of bonuses together to just swarm people down with tier 1 units. We've got Blaze of the Horde, which does extra damage based on the total number of tier 1 units in your army, which is a lot of damage. So each of these Houndmasters adds 5 damage to this because they are a tier 2 unit, which is 2 damage for a non-tier 1 unit, and plus 3 damage because they have a Hound in their army. Really, really cool. I like that defense is default low instead of being like 9 to 10 base in Age of Wonders 3. I like that too. I think having base defense be low makes the game more interesting. We also have Summon Irregulars, which allows you to turn your mana into more tier 1 units on the fly in the field. It is at random, but it's a non-scout tier 1 unit, which is quite handy. Really, really cool. You also get +2 Chaos Affinity. We will talk about all these affinities later. When we actually get to play the game. But basically, your affinity affects your diplomacy with other factions as well as independent cities, and it also impacts how you're going to spend your Imperium, I think it is. It's basically, it's like kind of like Civ 5 social policies is how your affinity kind of works, in that it also is part of your, I think it's part of a win condition. I don't know. I'd have to look at that again to explain it. But you get, this is the unique province improvement that I was talking about, right? You have the mob camp, +7 food, +7 draft. Now, to put in perspective, a farm produces +5 food. So this is 40% better than a farm, and it provides you draft, and it makes your tier 1 units cheaper by 20%, and it counts as a forester, and it's a unit deployment location. So super, super powerful. And then your hero gets the Battle Seeker training ability, which gives them a 20% bonus to all damage for all tier 1 units in this army on a support skill that you can take at level 1. So this whole Tome of the Horde thing, I love playing with it. Now, you can choose between being a champion, which focuses your empire towards gold and city stability and units gaining experience and diplomacy with free cities, or Wizard King is more like independent. They have more mana, they have more casting points, they have the overchannel ability, which allows them to cast additional spells. Does Summon Irregulars works on the world map. Not on the battle map. That's a world map spell. You can just so like as your horde of tier 1 units stomps across the map, you could be summoning irregulars into that army to keep it supplied. But let's go with a champion here. I think champion works better for this build because we're going to be doing a lot of non-magical origin units, so we want that gold income.
Reveal yourself.
And now I think this is where I get to reveal the hat that they made for me. Where's my hat? Oh my god, they made a potato. Look at it. The Ratman potato hat. Isn't that beautiful? So you could be a potato wearing Ratman. You can see he's got the little bite out of it. So this was modeled off of, I don't know if you guys know the meme, but the cat wearing a melon meme. I literally in the Discord where they were like, hey, what would you like your cosmetic to be when we make it for you? I was like, I literally posted a picture of the cat with a melon on its head meme. And I was like, can we make this but a potato and a rat? And I was like, I love this. I think there's a couple of other people who got like hats. Like I think this was some other dude got like these things, and then another dude made a crown. I think maybe that guy was Maurice or someone. But honestly, I love the potato. I like this hat too. These are all like the streamer cosmetics. Very, very neat. Very fun. But I'm very, very proud of getting a little potato hat for the Ratmen. I think people are going to like that. So we're going to have him wear that. And then you can make a fat rat lady. How do I hold on? I forget how to change gender. There we go. Body type. So you can have like a big old fat rat man. Can I show you? Like you can have him be super thin. You can have him really fat. You can make his legs really long. Whoop. Or you can make his legs really short and stubby. You can make his arms really short and stubby. Or his legs really stubby and his arms really long. You could do like really, you can make him big and heroic, or like weird and stubby, or heroic proportions. I don't know. You a lot of customization here, and it just looks really, really well, I think. You can also have him just be an average guy. I like adding long legs to them. It makes them look more heroic. You can make him look different colored too. I like the red rats. Those are kind of like interesting to me. Hey, thank you so much, Charibdis264. Appreciate you, and Lethior. Quill was showing off the hats this morning, and I saw the potato, and I was hoping it was yours. It is definitely mine, and it is specifically for the rat people, my beautiful, beautiful Skaven boys. Although technically not Skaven, Skaven. But you can add beards to them. You could do all sorts of cool stuff. Let's try to make a cool outfit here. Okay, what do we got? We got like this thing. Now, we are the barbarian culture, so these people aren't like super fond of wearing, clothing. Oh, that's got a vibe. That's kind of got a vibe to it. Oh, we could change our weapon in two. You start off with the axe and shield. You can also do great axe, which is kind of fun. You can also change your pose, if I remember correctly. Yeah. We can like have him pose in. Dude, the character creator graphics are like superb. Is that Ratman wearing a potato helmet? That's correct. Yeah, you got great axe, you got tyrant sword and shield. Each of these things comes with a starting equipment and ability. So like the barbarian axe is just 10 damage. The attack repeats 3 times if you have all your action points. You've got a basic wooden shield that gives you +3 defense against non-flanking attacks. You've also got a basic hero mount relevant to your race, which just means he'll move slightly faster, right? He'll have a little bit more health. He'll have fast movement. Then you've got Vigor 1, which is a little bit of health. Then you've got Great Axe, right? Great Axe provides you with the Great Axe, which is a charge type attack with 18 base damage that does extra damage the further he travels, and it gives you Fighting 1. You've got the Great Axes are really good in 2 instances. It's really good at doing damage right at the start of the fight, and they're really good at retaliation attacks. Does he ride another rat? I mean, don't let your dreams be memes. And then you've got the Tyrant The Tyrant Sword and Shield, this is kind of like the feudal setup, right? You've got a basic feudal sword, a basic feudal shield, and then you've got the Intimidation Aura, which has a 90% chance of losing morale anytime anyone stands near you. And then you can kind of also customize it to be like a ranger hero, right? You can do bow, you start with a hero mount, and you start with archery 1, which is a 10% damage and a 10% accuracy bonus. I really like doing Blight Staff builds, personally, because the Staff of Blight has a pretty decent ranged attack, right? 16 damage, and a quick stab ability, but it also comes with the Restore ability already unlocked, which allows you to push through to the high level support skills much quicker. And plus, Restore is pretty good, right? You heal your unit for 10 hit points, and then they regenerate 6 health per turn. For the rest of the battle, I'm pretty sure. I think, or maybe it's for 3 turns, I don't remember. Blight Orb, this is more focused on actually being a mage. You start off with a poison orb, and the orb that you start off with is going to be dependent on your culture. If I were to go to Barbarian here and switch it over to like high culture, I'd probably start with like a spirit orb. By the way, I need to thank you for having me discover Against the Storm. So many hours of fun are had. Beautiful. I'm glad you did find that game. It's one of the best games released this couple of years, so definitely check that out. Yeah, the Blight Orb, you get Magecraft, right? Ignore status resistance, gain 10% accuracy, yada, yada, yada. So then you select this, you name your thing, and then you click this onward button. We will not be clicking onward today, unfortunately. As much as I want to, click that button and show you the rest of the game, we cannot do that today. So instead, why don't we go back? Let's go back. I accidentally crashed the game. That's cool. Let's send that crash report. Hey, listen, game's not out yet. It happens. I was doing weird stuff. Sometimes you click the back button and the game crashes. It happens. Do units have mods like in Planetfall? So they moved away from the mod-based style of upgrading units. But we'll talk about that when it comes time to actually talk about gameplay. Potato, I love you. I love you too, Araxu. What were we doing? We were starting a new game, and I was going to show you my custom factions. So where do I start? Let's see. I have the Skillful Vermin. This was my Ratkin that I made. These guys were designed to be really tanky. So we have Hearty and Tenacious with the Tome of the Horde. So let me kind of explain how this combination works. I have a ton of tier 1 units because I'm Tome of the Horde. All of those tier 1 units have plus 10 hit points, and because we have Tome of the Horde, we get Spawnkin, which increases the number of figures in the models of my units. And as a unit loses models, right? If a unit is a single entity, right? If you guys play Total War, you'll understand this. A single entity unit will do full damage until it dies. Whereas if you have like a thing with like 100 soldiers in it and half of those soldiers die, they're only doing half DPS, right? And it's kind of similar in this game, in that as a unit takes damage, it will lose damage as it loses models in its unit. However, Tenacious means that you lose less damage. And you combine that with Industrious, giving us Bolstering, which means my units get bolstered defense every time they take damage, which can also combine with some other abilities to be really powerful. Yeah, you can kind of see where I'm going with this one. My tier 1 units are really tanky, really hard to kill, and they just kind of chip you down. Hey, I just noticed that it's a Stargate. It's kind of like a Age of Wonders 3 Stargate, or Age of Wonders 4 Stargate. Kind of, yeah. Kind of reminded me of it. So Industrious was all about being tanky. They are prolific swarmers, so their tier 1 units have +1 rank, and they are cheaper. And then I went for Mana Channelers for a very specific reason that I won't go into right now, but I'm going to tap my nose. It's basically so that I can summon, so I can do the summon a regular spell for 40% cheaper. I think there might be a better use of Mana Channelers. We will talk about that another day. Perhaps it has to do with the Tome of Zeal, a very interesting interaction with Mana Channelers and Tome of Zeal that we will talk about when you're summoning Zealots, but that's for another day. I think I was trying to make just like a really generic dwarf race here. Like, they're tough, they have defensive tactics, they have the Tome of Zeal, so they're kind of holy warriors, but they're also barbarians, and they're mana channelers, and they're prolific swarmers. I think, was this me? I think this was me trying to do the zealot thing. We won't, you know what, we'll talk about the zealot thing another day, because it's kind of fun, it's kind of OP. Then I made Nyx Assassin, the Darklings. This is me trying to make a shadow build work. These are Ratkins. They're just generic Ratkins with, like, they're harder to hit and they're sneaky, but they are a dark culture. So their cities are all about negative stability and research and exploiting negative status effects. They're scions of evil, but they're also fabled hunters. This is me trying to make like a ranger build in the dark faction. Let's actually go into the create faction thing here, because there's like a lot of fun things we can talk about. Yeah, so the actual like individual form does not matter, which I really appreciate. I like that you can customize it like very clearly. But let's make some goblins. I will make let's see, ferocious goblins. Elusive goblins. Yeah, let's make some like elusive goblins with, I don't know, what do they got? Quick reflexes. They're very good at being elusive. They can be resolute, they can be tough. Ratto Neo. What do I want to give them? I guess it doesn't matter. I'll just give them hearty, right? So they're tanky and they're hard to kill.
What is their origin?
Ooh, go anti-goblins with magic and intelligence. I like that. So let's do... Let's see. Arcane Focus and... Quick reflexes. So they're hard to hit by ranged attacks and their magic is better. So we're making magical goblins. So we'll pick the Mystic faction here. This is very much so about casting spells in battle, using battle mages. So they have extra mana income. All of their units have Starblade's attunement, which means every time that you cast a spell, they get +1 fire, lightning, or frost damage for 3 turns. You also have Astral Echoes, which are basically like little unique pickups that only Mystic cultures can pick up. And then we could do something like, I don't know, Gifted Casters maybe, or Mana Channelers. No, let's do Ancient Wise Ones. No. Hold on. Powerful Evokers. Okay. So Battle Mages and Support units have +1 rank, and we start with an extra Battle Mage. All right, so we'll do Powerful Evokers with Mana Challengers. Gifted Casters start with an extra combat spell unlocked. Ancient Wise Ones is quite powerful for research. It's like pretty good research acceleration. I like all of these. Let's do Mana Channelers. No. There's a way to make our Evokers even better, I think. Hold on. There's gotta be. Yeah, you know what? Let's just do Gifted Casters, right? We have a ton of combat casting, so this is all about casting spells. So I would rather go for the Tome of Evocation here, because the Lightning Focus. Sorry, it's one of these abilities improve. Yeah, this guy, the Evoker. So this guy's a tier 2 battle mage with lightning bolts, 10 damage. So he do up to 30 damage a round. We get extra astral affinity. We get channeling towers, which gives you mana and mana per adjacent conduit. We also get lightning weapons, which is a warfare skill, which gives our physical, ranged, and melee attacks plus 4 lightning damage, minus 2 physical though. What does feudal do? We talked a little bit about feudal. So this would kind of be the direction I would go. And then maybe I would follow up with like a Tome of Warding, or I would go with the Tome of Evocation plus the Tome of Cryomancy. I think this would be kind of interesting. Because I believe the lightning focus here will improve your battle mages. Now we could also go for like Tome of Evocation plus, let me see. One of these improves your, one of these makes them better. We could also just go for like necromancy stuff. That's always fun. But yeah, I'd probably go with cryomancy or pyromancy or something like, yeah, something in that direction. I think it could be good to combo this with Tome of Warding, right? It's all about defense and static shields and magical wards. The magical wards is really handy because it makes it really hard for you to be damaged by magical spells. I really love the tome system. The tome system, this is like, this is how books should have worked in Master of Magic. It's an amazing advancement of the game. Super good. This is, I don't want to give like a review statement, but this is probably the feature that I've had the most fun playing with. Is like the tomes, because this is so much potential, because like literally every single one of these tomes can be comboed with another tome, and there's like multiple tiers of tomes. Super cool. Yeah, but like I would probably go with something like Tome of Evocation, focused mainly on battle mages. I would be a Wizard King so that I have the overchannel ability, so I can cast 2 spells per turn. Can I give you? Can I give him the potato hat? Oh. It kind of fits, actually. His ear sticks out kind of awkwardly, but I mean, it kind of fits. A little bit of clipping. But, yeah, it kind of works. And I would make this guy to be a... not a God-ear bow. I want him to be a lightning orber. So he's like a little wizard guy. So yeah, let's talk about cultures a little bit. So far, the culture I've played the most with is Feudal and Barbarian. I've played a little bit with Industrious, a little bit with High, a little bit with Dark, and a little bit with Mystic. So far, I really like Barbarian. It's like super, super fun. A lot of get in your face kind of moves, a lot of like blight damage, a lot of recruiting units. Industrious is really fun, very much so focused on building up cities, building a lot of quarries, having really tanky units. High is kind of interesting. It's all about buffing and support units. It's all about increasing and unlocking the potential of your heroes. It's all about just having a really solid, interesting faction that focuses specifically on being good. And then you have Dark, which is kind of like the opposite of that, right? They're all about dark magic. They don't really have healers, whereas most factions, you can see here the guy with the staff, that's your healer dude, right? Most factions have a staff guy. Staff guy, this guy's got a banner instead. He's got a staff guy. Dark, no healer, no staff guy. It's what makes them kind of unique. And they're all about like exploiting people and capturing heroes and turning them into, mana siphons inside their crypts and dungeons and, experimenting with them and doing evil things. Very good necromancy culture. Mystic is about magic. It's all about magic. Simplest way I can describe it. It's all about magic. So each of these cultures has like an interesting gameplay style that you can then mix and match with your society choices, right? You could pick like a dark faction, but you could be good. You could be chosen uniters. You get +10 alignment. You could be imperialists, right? Your throne city is stronger, and cities that border your throne cities get a stability and gold boost, and your capital starts with an extra population. You could be devotees of good. So you one of the really cool things about the High faction is they have the alignment agenda. If they are pure good, they get 25 stability in all cities. However, if they're pure evil, all of their units start in the awakened state, which gives them +4 spirit damage on their base attacks, and Um, and they get awakened, and I'm pretty sure every single one of the high culture factions have a dormant trait that can be awoken. Really, really fun. Really, really cool. Yeah, so there's like a ton of really cool stuff in here. Like devious watchers, your cities can see further, your scout units are invisible. This is actually quite a handy bonus because your scouts tend to get killed in the mid game. You start with a Wayfarer unit enchantment, which I think makes it so that your scout units can move further, and you start with an extra scout. Really, really good for revealing the map and learning more about the stuff and finding those free pickups that you don't need to kill anyone to pick up. You've got powerful evokers here, which makes your battle mages and support units have more rank, and if you have battle mages and support units in the battle, you get combat casting points, which is how many spells or how big of a spell you can cast in battle. You also start with extra battle mages, Scions of Evil. This is a really fun one. Your cities gain plus 10 draft, and your empire gains plus 10 Imperium per level of evil alignment. This one, super fun to combine this with something like, not Ruthless Raiders, there's one here. Maybe it's Prolific Swarmers, yeah. It's like Necromancy plus Ruthless Swarmers. You can do some crazy fun stuff here. Units are recruited with plus 1 rank when you're at the maximum evil alignment. Shock units and shield units have plus 1 rank. And you start with an extra shock or shield unit. Then you've got like the Materium affinity. You've got Great Builders. Your quarries receive plus 2 gold. Cheaper to build the unique province improvements that you get from most of the books. You can build. You start with a workshop and stone walls in your capital, making it harder to kill, and it also just gets a slight boost in the start of the game. Runesmiths makes your unit enchantment researches cheaper and cheaper to maintain, and it gives you a free shield unit or polearm unit and makes them all plus 1 rank. Wonder Architects is super good because you actually start off with a annexed or an ancient wonder, which could be anything. It's usually a bronze tier ancient wonder, which could be anything from, like, oh, here's plus 20 mana or plus 20 gold and plus 5 gold per gold mine in the city or something to that effect, right? To like, oh, here's like a really strong tier 2 unit that just like completely complements your army. They're super, super good. This can be like a really, really good thing for your empire. Wonder Architect, super meta, super good. Then you've got Adept Settlers. This is for people who like to expand a lot. You can build an extra city without taking penalties. Your cities are cheaper to found. Newly founded cities start with more population. Your capital starts with more population. It's a fun combo here with... oh, you actually can't combo them. Oh, I never tried it before. Well, never mind. I thought if you could combine Imperialist and Adept Settlers, you could start off with 2 population in your capital, but I was just wrong. Then you've got Experienced Seafarers, which gives you plus 2 gold and plus 2 food and plus 2 draft on your fisheries. And I think normally fisheries just generate like a little bit of food, a little bit of gold. I can't remember. I'd have to look into the game again, but we can't go into the actual game. Naval units are cheaper. Naval units have plus 2 ranks. There's not that many naval units in the game, but this could be handy on a water map. Fabled Hunters. You gain more resources for clearing infestation. Clearing infestation and clearing ancient wonders and resource nodes, that's going to be how you get the majority of your early game tempo. So Fabled Hunters is super good for early game tempo. I would say Fabled Hunters plus Prolific Swarmers is a really good barbarian build. You have a ton of really cheap units. You start with an extra tier 1 unit and you start with an extra range unit, and you get a bunch of money and resources from clearing nodes, which allows you to snowball and recruit a whole bunch of tier 1 units. Really, really good combo there. Ancient Wise Ones. After you research enough technologies, you can unlock a new tome. When you unlock a new tome, you get the ability to research a whole bunch of new spells and abilities and stuff like that. With this, it makes it, when you unlock a new tome, one of those things is just cheaper, which is kind of cool. Gifted Casters, you just get a bunch of extra casting points, which allows you to cast more spells on the world map and on the battle map. You also start with an extra combat spell research, so it's good for research too. Mana Channelers, you have cheaper summoning, We talked about that. Magic origin units, aka units that are summoned with magic, have +1 rank, and you start with an extra magic origin unit. This can be basically anything. I got like an astral watcher. I got like some kind of plant thing before. I don't remember what I got, but I got like some crazy magic origin units from this. Very, very good. Yeah, I think we've talked about basically all of these. Chosen Uniters, good for vassalizing. Devotees are good, very good for support units and city stability. It's kind of like the opposite of the Scions of Evil. It gives you Imperium for your good alignment. If you're stacking buffs for your faction units, do they apply to your summons? There is a way for you to get those buffs on your summons. Yes, there is a way. They don't necessarily always go there, but you can get them on them. It does cost a research, though. It costs a research and a spell. So it's not free, but it can be done. Yeah, I think we've talked about basically all of these things. Is there anything you guys want to see before I go? What would you guys like to see? Can I see the Molekin? Yeah, for sure. Let's go over here. We go to the Molekin. Here they are. Let me just kind of quickly click our way through.
First tome of magic. Reveal yourself.
Here you go. These are the Molekin. Let me make them real tall, so you can kind of see him. Let's get rid of his physique. Let's take off his hat. Let's change his outfit to something a little bit more dashing and daring. There he is. He's a little mole man. Now, we can change his head. Oh, this guy's been beat up. Bear people. I don't think we have bear people. Love your video, bro, especially Transport Tycoon. Thank you. Can you show off the list of pre-made characters? I think I did earlier. I don't know if I can. I'm scared to press this back button because it crashed me the last time I pressed it. Hold on. We'll try.
What defines their society?
Yeah, so we've got like a whole list of people. All these cool factions. But I don't know if I'm like necessarily supposed to show that off. So I'm going to avoid doing so. With any depth. Can you make the leader and the race look different? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to pick halfling. I'm going to say these guys are high halflings who devotees of goods, but they're also imperialists. They're very, they're faithful, and they have a wizard king. But the wizard king is not a halfling. Their wizard king is a orc. Right? Or their wizard king is a toad. The halfling's led by a toadman. So yeah, you can have a different one. You just have to make sure you select a wizard king. So I could be like a lion leading the halflings. I could be Aslan. Well, that's also one of the factions that I made really early. Was I made Aslan leading the elves. Listen, I have very limited imagination. His legs look really weird. Oh wow, yeah, that's way more appropriate. Oh my god, what happened to the armor? Dude, your armor isn't attached. Fix it. Oh wow, his legs get squished. The character models are fantastic. I feel like the game looks so much better than Age of Wonders 3. Like so far for me anyway. Anything else you want to see before I go? Faction creator only stuff. We can also go back and play around with the world creator if you so desire. You want to kiss the tiger. I don't think that ends well for you. Apart from every single tome, I can show you tomes. So I could show you the tomes and talk about each of them real quick. May I see the starting weapons? Sure thing. You have a variety of starting weapons. So you have the Gaudier sword and shield. That's them right there. The weapons that you have available to you are going to be dependent on your culture. So you see right now I'm playing a high culture, so I get Gaudier weapons. The Gaudier bow right there. Quite nice. And then you have the Gaudier spirit staff. It's quite nice. And then the Gaudier lightning orb. But let's talk about these
Choose
books
your
here.
first tome of magic.
Tier 5 Nature Tome. I don't think I can show high tier Nature Tomes, unfortunately. I think Tier 3 Nature has like a really cool ability called Super Growth that makes your units really big. It's really fun. So the Tome of Faith, this is all about healing and lowering the upkeep of support units and giving support units more abilities. So it has Faithful Whispers, which increases the allegiance with a target-free city 30% faster, which allows you to have more vassals, which combos quite well with things like Devotees of Good, which gets more, or Chosen Uniters, which gets more resources from vassals, right? It's quite good combo. Imperialists, you do Chosen Uniters, Devotees of Good. This is like a good combo, in my opinion. If you go for a Tome of Faith, lets you very much so focus on recruiting and doing good things. And you have Wrath of the Faithful, which does 10 spirit damage plus 5 extra damage, up to 40 extra damage for each faithful unit in the battle. You can make a unit faithful with the Staves of Mending spell, which makes all of your support units into faithful unit, which makes them cheaper to maintain and gives them an extra healing ability. It's not a very strong heal, but it is a free heal. It doesn't take any action points to use that heal. Then you've got Army Heal, which allows you to heal your army on the map. Quite handy if you're playing on a hostile world. Then you've got the Convent, which I believe is a city structure that gives you knowledge and mana based on how stable your city is. May I tell you a cool combo I want to do? I'm going to just go through the books really quick. You get Order Affinity, you get the Abbey, which gives you a ton of science and science per farm that is adjacent to it. So there's kind of like an adjacency bonus going on here. Your leader can get the Mending Touch ability, which basically turns them into a chaplain, right? They get Faithful, they get Mending Touch. Chaplains are quite powerful. They come with Bless, right? +2 Fortune, +2 Strengthen, +2 bolstered Resistance. This is a 20% chance to crit. This is a 20% damage increase. And this is a 20% reduction in the amount of magic damage that a unit takes. Very, very good spell, Bless. Cooldown of 1 turn. Quite powerful support unit. They have a basic Spirit Blast and the Healing Prayer, which allows them to heal 1 unit once per battle for 30 hit points. Very good. The Summon a Regular spell, I'm pretty sure the Summon a Regular spell is a strategic map spell that gives you a unit for the whole. It just creates a unit for mana. It's not for battles. It's for you create a unit on the strategic map. We've got Tome of Cryomancy. Let's actually do the good books, and then we've got the Tome of Zeal. So the Tome of Zeal is all about summoning zealots and hitting units with condemnation, right? A unit that is condemned has lowered status resistance, but more importantly, units with the Zeal ability, this one, they get +2 damage, but that gets doubled against units that are condemned. So you cast Legion of Zeal to make all of your units, I can't remember which units get turned into, I think it's every melee mainline unit becomes a zealot who does +2 spirit damage. And if you condemn a unit, they do +4. And then these zealots, they do lots of cool damage. They have extra damage against condemned units. Fanatical Workforce, which gives you 60 production at the cost of 20 food. Really good trade. And then Inspiring Chant is all about morale and strengthened. And if you have already cast Legion of Zeal, your units will get +10% extra damage. And the 10 morale is really good for critting. You get the Circle of Zealotry, which is about giving you unit recruitment abilities based on how high or low your alignment is, so how good or evil you are, and a little bit of city stability based on the province adjacency. Thank you so much, Schnowit. Are you allowed to show off the default leaders? I don't want to go into too much detail on them because I don't know if I'm allowed or not, so I'm going to just sidestep that and not do it. Then we've got the Tome of Cryomancy. Allows you to recruit a White Witch, which is a Tier 2 Battle Mage unit with the Frost Bolts, which is a basic ranged magical attack that hits up to 3 times based on the number of action points the unit has. And the Freezing Blast, which is a spell that gives you the chance to actually inflict frozen to a unit, which means it cannot move or attack. You've also got Ice Coffin, which is a 10 damage attack that has a 90% base chance of freezing a unit. Units have status resistance, so even if it says 90%, it's not actually 90%. You have Frost Arrows, which means all of your ranged units in your army will do 2 less physical damage, but +4 frost damage. So +2 damage on balance, but they also get a 20% damage boost against frozen units. Really quite good. Then Frost Blades is basically the same thing for melee units. You've got Blizzard, which is a strategic map spell against an army that does frost damage and reduces their status resistance. You've got Lesser Snow Spirit, which is a summon, which has Freezing Burst, Melee Strike. It does a combination of this. It's an elemental, so it's immune to bleeding, poisoned, and diseased. And I think it has something else special about it too. But it's just like a strong tier 2 fighter unit. It's a skirmisher. So it has a strong melee attack, but also a really good ranged attack that it can use while moving really effectively. Decent chance to freeze people. So, Potato, did you also know of the many racial transformation that will be unlocked later on? I do know some of them, but we're going to save that for the gameplay because I got to leave something for me later. You've got the Tome of Souls. This is all about necromancy and summoning. You've got bone golems. You start off with the ability to summon a skeleton. You harvest souls based on killing things. You also get the Soul Collector, which is a hero ability, which gives you a 90% chance of inflicting soulbound and a 10% bonus damage against units with soulbound. Soulbound units give more souls, which allows you to summon more skeletons, yada, yada, yada. The bone golem, you're allowed to turn multiple skeletons into a bone golem. I think it's a 2-to-1 ratio there. Otherwise, you have to spend a lot of extra souls to summon the bone golem. When are we getting a stream of this game? Sometime in April. Can you make races that counter each other's abilities? Kind of, technically, yes. Then you got Soulbind Army. This does apply Soulbound on the strategic map to an entire army. Really, really useful spell for Tome of Souls. You've got Soulfire, which does 10 frost and 10 fire damage and deals half of that damage to adjacent. So this is like a really good direct damage. Soul Overflow, +1 strength and +20 maximum health. Lets you make your skeletons really tanky and do a little bit of damage. Soulbinders is an enchantment for all of your magical units, that is mages and support units, that gives them a chance to inflict soulbound when they attack or give them extra damage against units with soulbound. You can see how all the soul binding stuff works really well together. Was your hair ugly? Oh, the game crashed. Rip. I tell you what though, that's going to be it for me. You're going to have to wait till April. That was Faction Creator. Rip. It's the game's not out yet. It's still in like alpha or beta or something. I don't know. Something like that. It's just not. It's got some. It's got a couple crashes. Crashes rarely for me. I've actually been experiencing crashing. I think it's hardware related for me. So don't judge the game based on that. I've got a hardware issue that's been causing Age of Wonders 4 to crash. Has to do with overheating. So I need to iron that out and figure that out. But yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I love you all very much. Let me find someone to raid. Is there anyone else? On Twitch streaming the game. Only a German guy, and I don't think he speaks English. So go say hi to Bree. He is building a Ferrari. Okay, I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.